Are you sick of saying, if you don't, then I'll? Do you want to know how to get kids to listen without threats? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, child development, and education, all through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're talking about getting the kids to listen. In this video, we're going to talk about why people use threats with children. What are they hoping to accomplish? And what is it really doing when you use those threats? And then we're going to talk about what to do instead in order to have a more effective parenting style and teach them to take action quicker. Why do people go for threats? Because it's fast. You have this person, you've told them, don't do this or do this. Maybe it's an instruction, maybe it's a no answer. They're not taking action, and then you just make a little threat. Well, if you don't do that, then you don't get any dessert. You know, if you don't eat your dinner, then you don't get any dessert. If you don't come in right now, then you don't get a play after dinner. You know, those types of things. It gets a person to take action quickly, but it instills fear. Like, that's the whole purpose of instilling fear. The thing about threats is they might get short-term obedience, but they actually ruin long-term trust. Children feel manipulated when you're threatening them. There are some children that don't respond well to threats at all, especially if they're a little bit more rebellious nature, if they're more of an oppositional, defiant type child. If the parent starts threatening, they might be like, you can't do that to me. You can't manipulate me. And so immediately they show you that your trust is diminished. But your more run-of-the-mill child may not be showing you what's going on inside, which is that they're feeling like, oh, well, they're just being mean to me. I don't know if I can trust them to be nice to me, to care about me. And they're separating themselves, creating a little bit more of a relationship distance between them and the parent. It is important to teach a child to follow an instruction or to accept a no answer in a more effective way. So as a recap, threats create fear, not respect. So let's talk about how to calmly and confidently correct our children, even being able to use negative consequences, but not have a feeling of threatening and trying to instill fear into our child. So before we can get into exactly what language I would recommend using so that your children do listen to you instead of you having to go to threats to get them to listen out of fear, it is important to understand that there is a difference between a threat and a negative consequence. If something is a negative consequence, it's actually been predetermined at the time. So if the family knows that if they don't follow an instruction, then they earn an extra chore, that would make it so that if they don't eat the dinner, then they earn an extra chore. You could decide as a family, however, that if you don't eat your dinner, then the negative consequence is you don't get dessert afterward. If that's already predetermined, that's been talked about before a person is even in the act of being defiant, then it's not a threat when you just follow through with a correction. But if the child was not pre-taught what the negative consequence would be if they didn't eat their food, and then you start throwing out things as negative consequences that they will have to do if they don't decide right now, then you're threatening. Threatening and bribing are very similar. So how do you give a child a treat at a grocery store but not bribe them? You tell them ahead of time. At the store, this is going to be our behavior, and at the end, when we've had good behavior, then there will be a positive consequence of this treat. Then it's not bribing, it's just a positive consequence. But if you wait until the child is misbehaving and then promise them a treat if they behave well, that's called bribing. The same thing works for threatening. If you tell the child ahead of time what a negative consequence will be, and then you follow through with a correction, and you're able to do it calmly using your self-government skills, then you are not threatening. But if you wait until a child is misbehaving and then think to yourself, what would make them want to stop misbehaving? Maybe if they get this negative, and if you say, if you don't stop behaving, there's going to be this negative, Now you're threatening. The other thing that makes a big difference with bribing and threatening and just using positive and negative consequences is also your tone, your ability to think and not panic as an adult. When you are able to talk to your children about their own behaviors ahead of time and then just follow through calmly and having no panic about you, then it doesn't seem like an emotional thing. You're not emotionally manipulating them. Threatening and bribing are a type of emotional manipulation. The child can feel it, they lose respect, they distance themselves from you. Then you've got a lot of cleanup to work through, and you may not even be aware of it. So what do we do instead of coercion? We create a family culture of self-government, of being able to follow through with instructions and no answers, and we do this by having a calm tone and clear expectations by utilizing skills that have been pre-taught ahead of time. Calm tone is key. In fact, we're going to talk about calmness at the end of this video. So I want to jump to clear expectations and utilizing the skills and principles of self-government so that your family can be pre-taught the best way to communicate with you ahead of time. Whether they agree to just follow through or whether they want to disagree with you, there is a way that they can do it in a calm and effective manner. So these 4 children's books each teach one of the 4 basic skills of self-government, which are following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. Each one of these 4 basic skills has a skill set attached to it. So for instance, to follow instructions, you look at the person or the situation, you keep a calm face, voice, and body, you say, okay, or you ask to disagree appropriately, then you do the task immediately and then check back. If a person does not do all 5 of those steps, then they are not following instructions. So when you tell your child ahead of time what's expected, you might start with these 4 basic skills so that they know when to follow instructions and what to do to follow instructions. That one of the steps is I can either say okay or disagree appropriately, which is using this skill in this book. And that is the way that they can tell you when they maybe don't want to do something, and they can do it in a respectful way. So when you teach the 4 basic skills and all of their skill sets, then you can also teach them how you will correct them if things go wrong. So there are certain steps to a correction, such as you describe the situation, you give a rationale for why that wasn't a good choice, you describe what they should have done instead, using some of the steps for their skills that they already know so that they can utilize those steps next time in the future. Then you tell them what negative consequence they earned. So see, there's the negative consequence. It comes in after we describe the situation, what should have happened. Then we're going to practice things the right way, up to 3 times. The child will be praised for every time that they do those practices. Then they get the opportunity to go and do their negative consequence and come check back and be praised again. This type of correction actually allows for the child to practice doing things the right way more than the one time that they did things the wrong way. So we've created now a good teaching moment. I tell the child ahead of time that I will do that process every single time. We even role play practice it before I would ever use it. Now they are ready to be corrected, and I shouldn't need to threaten them or instill any amount of fear. If my child does not respond well to a correction, then I might need to go to using the rule of 3. The rule of 3 is an intensive teaching interaction which helps my child go from being emotional and dysregulated to getting back to their front brain, being able to control themselves again. This is used when a child is being extremely disobedient or defiant, or if they are dysregulated. And they might be crying, whining, yelling, pouting, hitting. Those types of things would be out of control behaviors, and you would use the rule of 3. Now, only for children at certain ages. We do other things for the younger children here at the Teaching Self-Government channel. So what about that calmness? I promised you that we would talk about that. That is a key thing. In fact, that's probably the #1 thing that makes a difference between threatening and then just giving instruction and following through consistency. So what does it mean to be calm? That means that you have a calm tone in your voice. Your body language is calm. You have some predictable words that everybody understands. When you are calm, you are easily understood, which does mean that you probably want to do some pre-teaching before the calmness too. I know there are many people who struggle with calmness, and I want to be more helpful than I can be on these short videos with that. I have a Calm Parenting Toolkit, and right now I'd like to give it to you completely free. So if you go to my website, teachingselfgovernment.com, and you'll see right on the homepage right now, the Calm Parenting Toolkit is for free. You can also click in the link in the description below this video to take you to that toolkit. It is a little mini course. It's not my entire Teaching Self-Government Parenting course. It's just a beginning, but hopefully will help you start to learn some self-mastery with your calmness so that some of the other lessons that I talk about in my TSG Parenting course and in other videos here will stick. So go get the Calm Parenting Toolkit today. I'll see you there.